The Federal Reserve System virtually controls the nation's monetary system. Yet it is accountable to no one. It has no budget, it is subject to no audit, and no congressional committee knows of or can truly supervise its operations. The roots of our economic ills can be traced to central banking and our present monetary system. The Federal Reserve claims to manage our money. Instead, it makes our money worth less and less every day. It has generated continuous and worsening business cycles and lowered our living standards.
It's really no different from a burglar in your house wanting to steal your money. That's what the Federal Reserve does. It depreciates your savings, it takes away your economic security, and it ought to be treated as an institution that does that rather than something of alleged benefit.
Money is supposed to serve as a reliable standard of economic value, not a source of instability. Until we restore sound money and take away the government's ability to debase it, we have little hope of restoring the freedom and prosperity that made America great.
And we really have a choice of what we want in money. Do we want money that's going to be losing its value every year, or do we want money that's going to be gaining in value? If you are happy with your money losing value, then you want the present system. If you want money to increase in value, then you want a gold standard.
Rather than stop the inflation, in 1971, President Richard Nixon refused to redeem any more dollars.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
It was the death knell for the Bretton Woods semi-gold standard, and a triumph for the Federal Reserve. The dollar would no longer have even the illusion of a fixed value against other currencies. It would float against them, causing even more dislocation in foreign trade and massive uncertainties for businessmen. Worse, the final check on dollar creation disappeared, creating endless possibilities for inflation. It's running at more than 300% since 1971, thanks to the Fed's power to create money out of thin air and to insured deposits. No U.S. federal budget has been balanced since it abandoned the gold standard.
I don't think that that's something that enhances the efficiency of our economy. I believe that the best money is a market-determined money, okay, such as we had under the gold standard. In order to get back to a market-determined money, the Fed has to be abolished.
There is not now, nor has there ever been, any direct control over the Fed by the President or Congress. The meetings of the Federal Reserve Board are held in secret, and nobody knows exactly what goes on. If you watch the business report every night, commentators are constantly speculating about what the Fed might do.
All eyes were on Washington today as the Federal Reserve met to decide the future direction of interest rates.
Most economists expect the Fed to leave monetary policy unchanged.
It has spawned a whole industry of Fed watchers who try to second-guess the Fed.
Federal Reserve has been surrounded by secrecy ever since its planning, its installation, and its operations to the present day. And the reason is because they can't tell the truth. If they told the truth, there'd be a revolution and there'd be a bunch of Americans, they're ready to all toss them out of the building.
A recent attempt to open the Fed to public scrutiny came in 1993. The head of the House Banking Committee, Representative Henry Gonzalez of Texas, called for an independent audit of the Fed's operations. He wanted the proceedings of the Open Market Committee videotaped, with detailed minutes released within a week instead of vague summaries issued several weeks later. Gonzalez also proposed that the president choose the 12 heads of the Fed's regional banks instead of powerful bankers. Predictably, Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan resisted the changes. What was surprising was President Bill Clinton's position. He declared the reforms would, quote, run the risk of undermining market confidence in the Fed.
The congressmen themselves, from my experience they're pretty naive, and they don't understand that the few that have to, like the chairman of the banking committee, is aware of this and goes along with it. and they continue to perpetuate this myth that the Federal Reserve brings about stability and they do good things for economic growth, even though they're the culprits. They're the ones who have caused all the problems. They're the ones who caused the recession, the unemployment, and the downsizing of big business and all the ill effects that we have to witness. But their PR job is excellent because they have convinced most congressmen that they are very necessary to maintain stability and economic growth and all these wonderful things that they claim credit for.
It is clear that the United States cannot rely on Alan Greenspan or any other Fed chairman to fight the chronic inflation that has wrecked our savings, distorted our economy, redistributed income and wealth, and brought us devastating booms and busts. Despite the established view, Greenspan, the Fed, and big commercial bankers are not the inflation fighters they pretend to be. The Fed and its allied banks are not part of the solution to inflation in the business cycle. They are the problem itself. To limit chronic inflation and boom-bust business cycles, the currency must be backed 100% by gold. That would remove the Fed's ability to print money, which amounts to no more than legalized counterfeiting. Instead, there would be a monetary system where gold serves to anchor the dollar, rather than the fiat reserves created by the Fed.
If we were to establish a real gold standard, the average American family would benefit tremendously. First of all, there'd be more jobs, better jobs, more secure jobs, more business opportunities, no more business cycle, no more recessions and depressions. People's savings would be secure. You wouldn't have to worry if you put away money for your old age that its value would be stolen by the central bank and by the central government as they are today.
Under a 100% gold standard, there would be no place for fractional reserve banking. For checking accounts and other demand deposits, the banks would keep reserves on hand to meet depositors' claims. Banks would receive a fee from their customers for keeping their gold. In loan banking, investors would hand over their money for a fixed period of time to earn interest. Once the gold standard is in place, individual bank depositors would always have access to their money, and investors would be kept informed of their balance sheet. And at a national level, a tight rein would be kept on government spending.
You have relatively price stability. You have a stable purchasing power for the money. You eliminate the business cycle. You have reasonable interest rates rather than gyrating interest rates, and you get rid of the political manipulation of interest rates and the political manipulation of the money supply. And this then preserves wealth and builds wealth and allows for economic growth.
It's as simple as this. Sound money means economic prosperity and limited government. Unsound money means inflation, recessions and depressions, and big government. What sort of system do we want for our families? Don't we want prosperity and security that we can hand on to future generations? Transition to a gold standard will not be easy, but as Murray put it, the alternative is much worse. Since 1980, the Fed has enjoyed the absolute power to do literally anything it wants. To buy not only U.S. government securities, but any asset whatever. To buy as many assets and to inflate credit as much as it pleases. There are no restraints on the Federal Reserve. The Fed is master of all it controls.